Hold up.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdouts Newsstand, and I want to talk about something I love today. And that just so happens to be Kelly Sue DeConnick and Phil Jimenez. I know, right? Controversial statement there, but stick with me. We're going to talk about Wonder Woman Historia, all that it can be, all that it promises to be, and everything it entails. This book has been promised for nearly 3 years now at this point, and I am so looking forward to it. And this all started in big thanks to Word Balloon and the podcast they did over there, which I will link down below. I think actually looking at something like a podcast or listening to it really humanizes these people. And I think sometimes in our society, we really need that. We need to not put them in the other category, and we need to look at them and understand where their passion comes from, understand why they're writing a story or who they're writing about, and that person really shines through with their passion, and both in this case shine through with wanting me to have and love this story. And not only that, but the idea of people camaraderie over comic books and being excited and having fun is something that I always wished for this channel to be. So we're going to talk about Wonder Woman Historia, but if you are new to the channel, of course, hit subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Hit like, leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you are looking forward to this beautiful, stunning book, and let me know what you think of the idea that we're going to discuss right now. Now, Wonder Woman Historia was announced, like I said, nearly 3 years ago, actually over 3 years ago. And it has been something that I've wanted to see come to fruition for a very long time. Basically, it is a Homerian epic with women at the center, but not being a utopia, with looking at the idea that history is won by the victors. And the victors, in the case of man versus Amazon, was of course man. So let's look at the Amazonian side of all of that, whereas we've naturally most likely heard is the man side, right? So it starts with the creation of Amazons, the very first inception of the idea of the goddesses conceiving of them. And this story spans through Steve Trevor landing on an island, but there is a little hitch on that. This was originally pitched as a 9-issue, well, it's Black Label, so maxi series, I guess is what you would call it, and it is only approved for 3. So in hopes that this continues to be as good as promised, maybe we will get 4 through 9. That would be wonderful. So I'm not sure, unless we actually get those 4 through 9, if we will see that moment when Steve Trevor comes to the island. And that's really where Wonder Woman's story starts off, right? We have Steve Trevor, we have this amazing story of Diana and the falling in love and going to man's world, but we really don't hear usually too much before then, or sometimes, depending on the story, even too much after then. But Aniope alert. We are looking at beautiful pictures from this actual book. Now, this doesn't come out till November 30th. And I really enjoy the idea of looking at the further beginnings of the Amazons. We've heard so much about these, depending on who your favorite Wonder Woman writer is, whether it's Greg Rucka or going back to George Perez. There are so many. Even the more recent Grant Morrison Earth 1 Wonder Woman, you know, I totally did a full story on that. You should check it out. But with all of that being said, this comes down to a lot of what I thought was really interesting about the interview I spoke about earlier. And a lot of what Kelly was talking about, where her and William Moulton Marston, who is the original creator of Wonder Woman, really differ in their ideas on feminism, on females, on the idea that women are, as put by William Moulton Marston, biologically superior. They are more gentle. They are more reasonable, right? That maternal instinct that women naturally have. And that is where his thoughts end and Kelly's really begin. And by looking at that definition of why women are superior, or in his definition, superior, she looks at it in a way of actually that kind of others us, right? That kind of puts us into this box of expectations. And if you look even further into writing, stereotypes, right? And basically what she said, and I really enjoy this quote. I am going to use it all the time now because it's awesome. I ask no advantage over my brother, only that he take his boot off my neck. Meaning, stop, keep me down. Don't keep me down. I don't want anything better than what you have as a man or anything. I want that same advantage. Let me earn my way to it. And you've got to be able to look at that and respect the idea that this woman, successful woman creator, is looking at it and just saying, look, I just want a chance to tell my story. One thing she did mention that I really thought was cool was that this is written, technically, the book's for everyone, right? The book's for everyone, but it is written for a female demographic. And I love when writers take a look at their book and go, look, I know my audience. I know who I'm writing this for, because it makes the story in general way more centered, way more focused, and makes it easier to understand and makes it that much more rich of a story. So if you are looking at this story, and I'm going to use the example of Mom, Mother of Madness by Emilia Clarke, I reviewed on the channel. A lot of people did not like it, but I was like, look, I can respect the fact that Emilia knew she was writing this for a very progressive female audience. I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it for the most part, and especially issue number 1, but I thought it was great. You know your audience. You do the work. You put the work into that audience, but then you make it and kind of subtract yourself a little bit and make the story for everyone. Make it understanding and relatable. Make those characters, like the goddesses that we're going to see within this book, relatable to everyone. And then she went on and she said, this isn't a story about how women are so different from men, but what we have been subject to in a different way, and how women and what women have been subjected to in a different way. Not only our biological differences, but how society kind of accepts us, how cultures shape us, how we look at ourselves, even sometimes in the mirror, and know how we're growing up in society and how that shapes us. I've talked many times on my channel before about growing up in an era of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and how that shaped and really set off what I have as far as body dysmorphia. But thinking about it a different way, which I really appreciate, is that women generally, even, talking about cultural differences and how culture shapes us, women, we're generally smaller. We're generally, more petite, more slim. And men are generally the protectors. But if you flip it on the head and you look at it like, hey, women, maybe their biology, have not looked at these men as protectors, but surrounded themselves with safe men in order to, of course, go ahead in life. Maybe that's one other way to look at it. And I can appreciate that. I love looking at different dynamics and different viewpoints. And I think this was a great different viewpoint. Now I've ranted a lot about viewpoints and what this book is going to be about. But what we are looking at here is some amazing Jimenez art. I cannot believe the detail and the level of what we're seeing. The different tribes, the tribe of Artemis, the tribe of Hestia, the different shapes of the women. I can greatly appreciate the idea that we are going to learn the very roots, a story that has never been told in 80 years of DC. This book I'm excited about. like I said in the beginning, I'm going to talk about something I love. And this idea I absolutely love. Even going down to interviews and looking up things, we've got, Phil Jimenez saying, this book allowed me to rethink the design of the Amazons. I wanted to represent different types of women all around the world. It was important for readers to see themselves somewhere represented physically among these women. And I appreciate it. I love it. I think there is something great to be said about this. I talked in big part in Why the Last Man on how I thought it was really cool. They had no problem shying away from a woman's naked body, but it wasn't just a teeny tiny woman's body. It was all shapes, all sizes, including skinny women, which should always be included in the conversation. That is just fair. So absolutely make sure you guys check this out. I will put the link down below. If not for anything else than this beautiful art and the idea that we are going to get the beginning of the Amazons. I love the mythology behind it. And I honestly think this is going to be really good. It's really nice to see someone excited again when they talk about comics. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.